Tanya with All Things Dazzle, coming today with a tutorial, and I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take me to do this, but I was working on a design and I posted it to my Facebook group, the Rhinestone Syndicate, Creative Minds and Bold Ideas, and someone saw it and asked me if I could recreate the design using their zip code rather than the one that I posted. And so I figured, okay, well, this would be a great way for me to come on and do another tutorial for you guys and show you how I created the knockout effect with rhinestones in Silhouette Studio. So with that, here we go. So this is the design that I did. It was it's a 919 thing with the state of North Carolina kind of superimposed in the area code 919. I live in Clayton, North Carolina. North Carolina has 5 zip codes, if I'm not mistaken. We have 919, 910, 336, 704 and 252. So my goal was to try to do one for each of the zip codes because I just thought it'd be a neat thing to do. And so again, someone asked me to do one for the 336 area code. So since I've already kind of started this design, I don't necessarily want to recreate it from scratch because the things that I will reuse in each of the area codes, I'm going to reuse the state of North Carolina, which I've already done, and I'm going to keep the "it's a thing" text pretty much in the same position that it is in for each of the other designs. So what I've done so far is I have my text, which is the 336. That's over here, and I just typed that out using the text tool. Over here on the left-hand side of the toolbar, if you go to the letter A, that is your text, and you could just type out whatever you wanted it to say. So I'm going to just show you again, 336. Oh, 336. And then I'm going to pick a font. And the font that I chose for this particular design is one that I have on my system. Your system will be different. You will have different fonts. But the one that I chose is this one called Rockwell Extra Bold. Okay, so I use the Rockwell Extra Bold font, and I am going to get rid of this one because I have it right here. And I'm going to use my existing design to just make sure that I have that design kind of sized pretty much the same as the other. So I'm just going to kind of take that design, the 919, and superimpose it over the top of the 336 just to see if the height and the width of the design are the same. And it looks like they are. So I'm going to zoom back out and I'm going to move this back over because out of the way. So I have my 336. Okay, so now that I have my 336, I need to create the space to fit the inside of the state of North Carolina. So in the previous design, I had already created the offset of the state. Okay, so here is that offset, and I'm going to position it where I want it to be. So I made a duplicate of the rhinestone version of it, and I'm just going to kind of position it where I want it to show up in the design, because that's where I'm going to then place my created offset. Okay, so here's the offset, and here's the rhinestone piece that's going to fit when I knock this out of the text. Okay, so I want to position it there. So I'm just going to take this offset and I'm going to lay it over my rhinestone portion, try to line it up. Okay, and then I'm just going to move the rhinestone one out of the way. Okay, so now I have my 336 and my state of North Carolina. And if it makes it easier, if I color in the text, so I'm just going to go ahead and color in the text for you guys. So I'm going to make that white. And I'll just go ahead and just make this a color so that you can see it. So I have my state, and then I have the 336 behind it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to click anywhere in this open area of the mat, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag a box. I'm going to click and drag a box around both of the graphics. So I have the 336, and you can see that it has a box around it, and the 336, it also has a box around it. So I have grabbed both of those objects. I'm going to come over here on the right-hand side of the screen, and I'm going to go to the icon that has the rectangle with the circle. This is your modify panel. Okay, I'm going to click on it. Okay, and I'm going to click the option to subtract. Okay, because I want to subtract the state from the 336. So I'm going to click subtract. And once I do that, I can then drag out the offset that I had created. Okay, so that offset, I'm just going to put it over here to the side because I don't need it. And now the rhinestone portion that I had already done should somewhat fit, and it does, into the space that I created. Okay. So that essentially is how you create a knockout in Silhouette for designs that you may want to do that look a little bit like mine. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the design. It's going to require some editing, as you can see, but that shouldn't take us very long. So I want to see what the 336 is going to look like. And so I'm going to come over here to the right. Again, I'm going to open up the rhinestone panel. And for the effect that I used in the previous design, I used the linear fill, which is this one right here with the lines that go up and down. Okay, it's straight lines up and down. That's the linear. I'm going to click on that. Okay, so now you can see what the design looks like in that linear fill. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to change my spacing. The default setting in Silhouette is 0.039. I'm going to go ahead and change my spacing to 0.020. Hit enter. Okay, and as you can see, that made the design a little bit more dense by adding by reducing the amount of space in between each of the holes, which allowed a few more stones to be able to fill in. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to just kind of look at it and make sure that it looks like what I want it to look like. For the most part, it does. I'm going to release the compound path, okay, for the 336 so that I can start making some adjustments, because as you can see, we have some stones that are kind of overlapping or touching, and we need to go ahead and fix that in order to finish out this particular design. So I'm also going to check and see what would happen if I reduce the spacing of this down just a little bit further. So we were at 0.0. We were at 0.020. Let's just see what happens if I bring it down to 0.018. Okay. Actually, I put it down to 0.015. So that made the spacing a little bit tighter. And I think I like that a little bit better. It made it such that the cleanup looks to be a little bit less than it was before. I'm going to adjust the state and just kind of line it up a little bit with the stones above it. Okay. And over in here, we can see that we have some stones that are overlapping our outline, and we will get rid of those when we release the rhinestones. So I'm looking at it. I think I'm pretty much satisfied with the way that it looks. I'm going to zoom out for a minute, and I'm going to bring over the other half of the design, the part that says it's a thing. Okay. And I'm just going to position it where I think it needs to be and see whether or not that's going to work. And I think it will. So we don't need that right now because it's already done. Okay. So I'm just going to move it over to the side, and I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to start working on the 336. Okay. So this is the cleanup part. It's can be a little tedious at times, but it's the necessary part to ensure that your designs look the way that you want. Your software is going to get you, I say 85% of the way there, and the remaining 15% is going to require some manual manipulation. Okay, so I'm going to click on the 336. And I'm going to leave the state part where it is so that I can see which stones I need to move, which things need to shift in order to clean this up. So, but I'm not going to release those rhinestones. I'm just going to leave that the way that it is. But I am going to release the rhinestones for the 336. So currently that portion of the design, if you look down here at the bottom where it says total selected shapes, I'm using SS10 rhinestones for this portion of the design, and the system is telling me that I have 868 SS10 rhinestones in this portion of the design. So I'm going to go ahead and release the rhinestones. So I'm going to click the button that says release rhinestones. Give the software a minute to process that. And once that is done, you will see that you will now have a box around every one of the circles in the 336. Okay. So that means that I can now manually edit each of those individual circles. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that I can see. And I'm going to go ahead and start removing the stones that I don't think that I need. Okay, so right now we're here. We have a stone that's overlapping, so I'm going to get rid of that one, and I'm probably going to get rid of that one. And for these over here, rather than to get rid of them because they do help to make up the portion of the 3 here, I'm just going to use my arrow key. I'm going to click on the circle, okay, that I want to edit. And I'm just going to move it with my arrow key. I'm just going to try to shift it over a little bit while maintaining. I'll do that with the one below it. And the other one, trying to maintain the symmetry of the design so that we kind of keep the curvature here of the 3, even though we've made it a little bit more narrow than it was before. Okay, so I'm happy with that. While I'm in this area, okay, I can add, we're gonna add some stones here, okay? And in order to do that, the quickest way for me to do that, I'm going to just kind of grab these stones right here, okay? What I did was I just kind of dragged the box. I clicked and then just dragged. Or you can click on one, hold your shift key while clicking the other ones. Okay. And I'm going to right click, click duplicate. And then I'm going to just bring that set of stones or those holes up here in this line and try to position it where it needs to go, ensuring that let me zoom in a little bit, and keeping enough space in between the stones. So I'm added that to help fill out that 3. Okay, let's see what else I may want to add. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So over here, like this 3, okay, we can do, let's see, I think what I'll do is I will delete this one. Okay, I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to delete this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab this 2 rows of stones in this particular 3 that are already done. I'm going to duplicate. Actually, I grabbed more than what I needed, but I will use that as a guide. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to position that where I think it should go. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. Let's see. I think maybe right there. And zoom out. Just kind of look at that a little bit. Actually, let's try something else. I think that needs to come over because here's our curve for our 3. And so we need to get that over here. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to use my back key. Okay. I've got it highlighted, and I'm going to drag that one over here. Okay. So I'm going to line that one up on that blue circle, using that as my reference line. Okay. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And then I can delete the stones that I don't need. So I'm going to delete all of these. Okay. And I'm just going to highlight those again and just bring them down just a little bit. Okay. Make a little bit more space. Okay. So now that I have that done, okay, so I've got the 3 filled in, just like this other 3. I'm going to remove these stones right here. Okay. Let's see, I got that. We probably cannot, no stones can go there. Just looking to see. So we're done with this 3. I think we can fit a stone and tighten it up just a little bit. So I think we can add a stone right here. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on this one, and I can right click and click duplicate, and that will duplicate a stone, and I can use my arrow keys to move that stone to want it to be. I think we can also create and fill in the stone here. So we can do that again. We click duplicate, use the arrow key, position that stone where we want it to be. And I think we can fit one more stone in here. Let's try. And this time I'm going to show you, you can click on your stone, or you can click on the hole. If you hold while your cursor is positioned over the hole, okay, there's a box around it. You can see I have it selected. If you hold your Alt key, your pointer finger, once you hold down the Alt key, will turn into a little plus sign with an arrow, and you can click and drag. Okay, so you can click and drag out another hole without having to click duplicate, right click and click duplicate. Okay, so we have that one positioned right there. I'm going to highlight these and kind of just move them out just a little bit, giving a little bit more space for this stone that I added. Okay, so let's go back. Let's look and see. This was part of this line right here, as you can see, right? This line right here. This is where this stone was. And so looks like we can add a stone here. And I'm going to go ahead and position that where it needs to go. right about there. And I'm also going to bring those two stones kind of up in alignment with these stones right here. Okay. Let's see here on this back end of the three, we can put a stone. Let's see. Let's move this one. Let's move this one out like so. And let's see if we can get a stone. I'm going to right click. I'm just going to do duplicate and see if we can fit a stone like right there. Okay. So that helps to kind of finish off this curve. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go ahead and delete these stones that are overlapping because we don't need those. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one and this one. And let's get rid of this one. And I'm going to, rather than to delete these two stones here, I'm going to move this down just a little bit. So I'm going to grab as many of these stones as I can. Okay. And once I've grabbed all that I can, there are just these, a few here over on the left that didn't get selected. So in order to add those to the stones that I'm going to move, I'm going to hold down my shift key because everything else is already selected. So I'm going to hold down the shift and that's going to allow me to click on the ones that did not get selected. So I'm going to click on this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And now there is a box around all of those circles. And I'm just going to use my arrow key and I'm going to bring it up. As you can see, I missed one. So I'm going to go back. Okay, hold my shift key, grab that circle, and now I'm going to just position this a little further down, which then makes some room for those stones that were above and the stone here on the side. Okay, so now we have those in position. Let's zoom out. Let's see what else we have to do. Okay, I think I'm okay. Let's see, maybe we can add, do we want to add a stone here? I think I'll leave it alone. I think it's fine. Okay, let's look at any more of the threes. I think we can add stone right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate and add a stone here. And I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate again and add another stone there. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think we can add a stone here. And can we get one more right here? It's a little tight. And so I will leave that one out. Okay. Over here, let's see what else we have. We have this one right here that's overlapping. So let's go ahead and remove that one. And I think we could add a stone here. So let's move I'm going to shift this one over and I'm going to duplicate and fill in a stone there. These are overlapping right here. I can do the same thing we did before. We can go ahead and we can shift that over just a little, or we can actually leave it because even though these stones are overlapping, what I may do is I may shift these stones I may shift these stones, I can release this outline for the state of North Carolina and shift those stones in the other direction. Okay. So I think we'll just leave those where they are because everything lines up the way that it should. I'm gonna try to line that up. Okay. And I think I'm done with this 3. So let's go over here and start looking at the number 6. So here in the number 6, we can see that we can add 2 stones right here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate and add these 2 stones. Okay. And in order to clean up this gapping, just the spacing, just a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see. Okay. And I'm going to click here, just anywhere on this open area, and I'm going to try to stay in line with this row of stones. Okay. So if it's easier, you can click from the left or the right. If I click over here on the left-hand side of the screen in this open area, I'm going to click, and then I'm just going to drag my mouse. And what I'm trying to do is drag it so that I'm only selecting this row of stones. Okay. So I can look and zoom in and see that only those stones were selected when I did that, right? None of the stones above it are selected. And what I want to do is I want to create some equal spacing between this outer stone here and this outer stone here, so that everything else in between then becomes equally spaced between these 2 stones. In order to do that, once I have that line of stones selected, I'm going to come over here to the right-hand side of my screen, and I'm going to open up the transform panel. Okay. For me, on my interface with Silhouette, I'm using version 5.0. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th icon from the bottom. Excuse me, 5th icon from the top. But again, it is this one with the horizontal and perpendicular lines. You click on it. It is your transform panel. Okay. There are several things that you can do in there, but this first one opens up your alignment tools. Okay. And in the alignment tools, you have, of course, your horizontal and vertical alignments, but you also have down here this bottom that says distribute. And this is the distribute evenly, either horizontally or perpendicular, depending on which row of stones you're working on, okay, to create that equal amount of space. So this says space vertical, this one says space horizontal. And so because we're working with a horizontal line, I want to click the one that's for the horizontal spacing. And when I click that, you will see that those stones are now equally spaced in that row. Okay, so this is one of the ways that you clean up your design to create your equal spacing so that your design has the symmetry that you want. Okay, so we've done that. We have this stone here that's overlapping, so we're going to get rid of that. We have these 3 stones right here, and we're going to just go ahead and we're just going to click on them, holding the shift key so that we select all of them. Okay, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys and I'm just going to move them down just a little bit. Okay, line them up with the stone here in the map. Let's continue to keep looking at this design. I'm going to delete this overlapping stone here. Okay, I'm going to move this one. Okay, just to give it a little bit of space. And then I'm going to find all of those stones and I'm going to, again, highlight all of them. I click and drag. Okay, trying to maintain that straight line, but also looking to make sure that I don't have any other stones selected. And I'm going to, again, distribute them evenly across the row. Okay. Let's see here. Looks like there should have been some stones over here for our 6. So we'll just go ahead and we'll duplicate and add in a few stones. Looks like 2 would be sufficient. Okay. I think we need to keep this one where it is, but we want to maintain this equal spacing. So again, I'm going to click, drag, highlighting that row of stones, and I'm going to distribute them horizontally. Okay. Let's see here. We have the same thing. We're going to click. We can either, well, we can do 2 things in this. We can either try to add a stone and then equally space, or see what this looks like if we just equally space out these stones. So let's just see what happens if I equally space. Okay. It puts a little bit more spacing in between each of those stones, which also kind of throws off the alignment a little bit. As you can see right here, you no longer have that curve that we had before. So I think instead of doing that, we can either do an undo and go back, okay, and add a stone. Okay, so I'm going to just click a stone or click a hole, and I hit duplicate. Okay, I don't have to manually move anything. I can just highlight that row of stones and equally space. Okay, the same thing happens here. I think that this one is off. And so if we add a stone, so I'm going to duplicate and add a stone and then equally space those stones. That helps to put that alignment back where it needs to be. Let's see where else we may have an issue. Down in here, let's just see if we have enough space. We may not have enough space to add a stone, but let's see what happens if we do. Okay, so we just duplicate and add a stone and equally space. Actually, that looks pretty good. We can cut that safely. That looks pretty good to me. I think we can do that. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the row underneath it. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate, and then I'm going to evenly space that out. And I'm going to do it one more time. And this row, not delete, but duplicate. And evenly space. Okay. So now you can see that we've added some stones, which helped us to recreate the alignment, making our design look that much neater. Okay, I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these overlapping stones that we don't need. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete that, this one. Maybe not that one. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to delete that one, and I'm definitely going to delete that one. Okay. I think we can fit a stone in here. So let's go ahead and duplicate and add one. Okay. And now that let's see what else we have. So we have over here on this side. Okay. We have overlapping stone here. We don't need that. I want to bring this stone in a little bit. And I think I'll bring this stone in a little bit. Try to kind of get that back in alignment. And we may just move this one over. We may just leave that like that. And in here, I think we'll leave that. Maybe I'll just bring this over a little bit just to kind of close up that hole just a little bit. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. So this is part of our curve of our 6. So we don't need any stones over in here. Okay. It looks like we can add some stones right here. So let's go ahead and duplicate and add. Space that out. Duplicate. And let's see if we can add one more. And let's see what happens if we then equal space. Oh, well, I can't equal space just the moment because I don't currently have the blue stones released. As you see, if I click on them, it opens up a box around the whole thing because it was all grouped together from the original design that I took it from. And I have not ungrouped it or released, ungrouped that design. So I'm going to leave that like it is. I'm going to go ahead and just move that one out. I think what I may do, I'm going to leave that. I think right now, I'm just going to leave that alone. I'll come back and revisit that in a minute. Same thing here with this particular spacing. I will come back and revisit that in just a minute. I'm going to take these stones, accident, and I'm going to kind of bring them down just a little bit, I think, in line with the other ones. Okay. Let's see. I think we have some spacing that we can add some more stones in this area right here. So let's see, we have a stone over there we can use, and we'll add one more. Space that out. And I think we can get another. I'll take this stone right here, this hole, and add that one there. And we might can add one more. And then I can move this out just a little bit and equal space these stones. Okay. And I think we can do one more. And bring that over here like that. And equal space. Okay. So now let's see if I zoom out. What am I missing? Okay. Looks like this area in here is going to need some stones to be filled in to just kind of fill out this part of the 6. Okay, so we just need to let's see. I probably should have kept a copy of the 336 before I released the rhinestones. But let's just try something a minute. I'm going to go out because I know what I use. I'm going to just do 336. Okay, and I use my Rockwell extra bold font. And I'm going to just size it, try to size it. I'm going to give it a color so I can see it. I'm just going to give it see if I can size it up to where the other one was just as a basis to kind of see where those stones need to go. Okay. So we have that like that. Probably had that pretty much sized up like this. Okay. A little bit. Okay. And then what you could do, okay, now that you have a template kind of over your six, I'm gonna ungroup this for a minute, and I'm going to just widen this 6 just a little bit. Doesn't really need it, but then I'm just gonna group this all back together again. So I'm gonna hold the Shift key, select each of those numbers, right click, click group. And if I take this design and I send it to the back, okay, so I send it to the back of the design. Now I can kind of see where stones need to go in order to fill out the remaining part of the 6, okay? Because that area got cut away when we put our offset, when we created our offset and sliced it out. But now this just gives me a better visual of what the numbers look like before we did that, okay? So just using that as a guide, we can come back in and we can just zoom this in. Okay, same thing over here with the 3. We can kind of see where we need to add some extra stones. Okay, so let's just start with the 3 right now, just because that's the easiest. I'm going to just duplicate and I'm going to start filling in some of these spaces. Okay. It's actually, I think I'm going to get rid of that one. And let's see here, duplicate. Get one here. We can do that. We can even out. We can equally space those stones. Okay. I'm gonna drag one here. Okay. And can we drag one over here? It's a little tight. And it's a little tight in there. So we'll probably just leave that alone. Same thing here. We said we would come back and we would revisit this area. So now that we're done with the 3s, oh, wait a minute. Let's see. We can probably come and add a stone right there. We might be able to add one more. Can we? If we give this a little space, we can. Because we can just shift these over. Like so. And we might be able to get one more and put that right there on that row and fill out that curve. Okay. All right. So now that I'm done with the 3s, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to finish out the 6. Okay. And to make easy work of this, I'm going to probably use a row. I think I want to add a stone in here. And then I want to equally space these stones. And because I have the red 336 behind it, I'm not certain that I'll be able to click and drag. So I'm just going to highlight all of them and equally space that. Okay, so now that I have that equally spaced, I'm going to use that row. I'm going to delete these. Okay, so I'm going to delete those. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this row. So I've just selected all of those stones and I'm going to duplicate them and I'm going to position them where I think they need to go. Like so. And this keeps me from having to do a bunch of duplicating and right-clicking and duplicating of stones. I want to try to maintain that line, that curve that we see right in here. Okay. Let's just see what we got going on right here. And the one below it. I'm gonna keep doing that. Keep going. One this week. So now we have those stones. And now we're gonna just do is just delete what I don't need. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete, highlight. Excuse me, I'm just gonna click and drag a box over the stones that I don't need. And as I get closer, then I'll just do some manual deleting of the stones so I don't accidentally delete what I want. See, I'm gonna come back in here and equal space some of this. Okay, so I'm gonna move these stones out here to fill on the curve of this 6. Okay, this is helping me to keep my line, keep the symmetry of the design. Okay, and this one, this row is a little high. So we'll just come in here and we'll try to just kind of move it down just a little bit. Okay, so now that we have all of that filled in, I don't see anything else that needs to be filled in for the 6s. For the 6, excuse me, the only thing we need to do now is just remove that from the back. Okay, we no longer need it, so we can delete it. And now we can use our equal spacing tool to equal space out this gap. Okay, so remembering that you always want to work from the outermost edge of the 2 stones that you're trying to create the equal distance between. So I've already created the line here. So this will be so I will then just drag and drag to the other white circle and equal space. Okay, and just do that all the way up until I have the whole, the area that we just created, excuse me, equally spaced. Okay, so now as you can see, this one is a little tight. Okay, so we probably need to remove a stone. So I'm going to remove one of these stones and I'm going to shift one over just a little bit and then equally space. See if I zoom in just a little bit so I can see what I got going on over here. I probably would move that out. Let's see. I guess I'll go ahead and delete that stone and then just move that one over a little bit. Maybe. Row right in here is a tad tight. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete one of these stones and then I'm going to shift one over and then I'm going to equally space. And the same thing here. It probably would be okay, but I'm going to go ahead and remove that stone and move that one over just a little bit and then equally space. Okay, and the same thing, I think I'm going to move this over just a little bit, try to create just a little bit more spacing in between those stones, just so that when I go to cut this, I don't necessarily tear the flock. This stone's overlapping, this stone is overlapping, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. This stone, I said I might leave because I think maybe I'm going to delete this stone. And I'm going to move this over. I don't know that I like that. Let me see. Let me go back. Again, I'm going to come back and revisit that in just a minute. So let's go out. Let's look and see. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to highlight the whole thing so I can just get rid of the little red outline that is behind each of those circles. In order to remove that outline, I've just dragged the box around the whole thing because they all have it. I'm going to go up here to the line style panel. Okay, that's the third icon from the top for me, but it's the one that has these three sets of lines. One is thick, the other one is a little less thick, and then you have a dotted one. You click on that, and we want to go to the line color. The one with the box around it is the color, because that's the one that color on the outside of the item that you're working on. The default, I believe, is just red. I want to turn that off. And so in order to turn that off, we want to click the icon that has the open box with the triangle. Okay, so this box with this little open triangle, you can either find it here. I've used it, so it's underneath my recently used, but you also find it here under the fill color. If you have not used it, it's always this very first icon right here. So you can click on that. And when you do that, that just removes the line color, the red line outline color around the circle. Okay. So now I can see my 336, and here's my state. And then here's the other part of my text that I told you we'd already done. Doesn't need to be redone. And I would just position this where I want it to go for the design. And I'm loving the way that looks. Okay. So the last thing that this design would need to match the other one is the outline. Okay, so I created an outline of stones around the 336, okay, that I now need to, around the 919, that I now need to recreate for the 336, okay? So I'm going to move this out of the way. I just wanted you to see it. And by the way, the 336 are SS10 stones, but the It's a Thing was created in using SS6 stones. It was a font that I had on my system. I did not write down what it was, so I can't tell you which system font it was on my computer, but again, it was a font that was on my computer, and I just scrolled through to find one that I liked and one that worked well when I used the rhinestone effect. Okay. But for now, I'm just going to move it out of the way. Okay. And I'm going to show you how I created the outline. Okay. So I'm going to move this part of the North Carolina out of the way as well. Okay. So now I'm just left with the stones. And to quickly do this, the way that I do it, when I'm using the linear fill pattern in Silhouette, I will just kind of come out here and I want to just drag. So I'm going to click and drag so that I can get this very first top row of stones. Okay, so I just want to select those top row, and I'm just going to go ahead and change it to a color. I need to be on the fill. Okay, I'm going to go back and turn my lines off. Okay, so I grab that very first row of stones. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to click and drag, just selecting those bottom row of stones, and I'm going to go ahead and turn those a color. Okay, and unfortunately for the rest of it, okay, well, not for some areas, we have to manually now select those holes and turn them into a color. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in for you so you can see what I'm doing. But basically, I'm just going to click. Okay, so now I have one selected. Holding my shift key, I'm just going to click all of the ones in that row. Okay, and I'm just going to keep clicking. And if I miss one, I will come back and do it later. But for now, I'm just going to try to click as many of them as I can. Remember, I am holding the shift key while I do this. And I'm just selecting all of the outer edge holes because those are the ones that I want to be the outline for this design. Okay. It looks like it would take a long time to do this, but it really doesn't because you're just clicking, click, 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 and you don't have to be precise about it because if you miss one or if you happen to click on one that you didn't mean to click, you can always either click off of the box if you notice it before you turn the color, or you can come and do it after. Okay, I know I don't have them all, but I'll just show you. So now that I've selected all of my holes, I'm just going to turn them all red. Okay, and now those are red, and then I can go out and I can see which ones are missed. Okay, so I missed this one. So I click on it, turn it red, and actually not too bad of a deal. I think I got pretty much most of them. So the only thing I want to do is I want to grab these right here. Okay, because these are the parts. For my 3, and then I want to grab this upper row right here. That's the part of the 3, and then this one, these 2 right here, they round out that other 3. These are the interior parts of the 3, so they don't get selected. Okay. Okay. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to bring back my map of North Carolina, my state of North Carolina, and try and position that back where it's supposed to be. Zoom in. And sometimes we have to use our arrow key to get a tad more precise with our placement. Okay. I think that looks pretty decent. And okay, so the only thing I have left now to do is to clean up these little areas over here in the 6th, where we had some overlapping of the stones. I'm going to see if, and looks like we also may have had a little bit of overlapping over here in the 3 that needs fixing. But the first thing I want to do is just make sure that my placement of the map is where I want it to be. Before I start moving those other stones. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much satisfied with that. Okay, so now that I have that in position, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release this compound path. Okay, and when I release the compound path for the state of North Carolina, now you can see that there's a box around every single one of those circles, and I can now manually manipulate those just like we did earlier with the white circles. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to do in order to clean this up and make this, I'm trying to make this as painless as possible. Let's see. Zoom in a little bit. Scroll over so I can see. So we'll start over here on this side. Okay. Right in here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these little 3 dots. I'm going to move those over a little bit. I'm going to leave that like that. Let's see. I think maybe what I'm going to do in this one is I think I decided that, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess up the line. But I think I might move this one. No. Yeah, maybe I'll just kind of shift these stones a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Scroll down. Let's see what we got over here. It's just kind of, I think this is, we're just going to go ahead and delete this stone. Okay. And I'm going to maybe bring this down a little bit. And maybe I bring this one up a little bit. And then bring this down and over. So I'm basically just trying to fit the map a little bit better, while also trying to close up a little bit of the spacing, a little bit if I can. It's not always going to be perfect. And we bring this down. And let's see if we can bring this one down. We can. That still somewhat maintains this line. I think we can maybe fit an extra stone in here. Let's see if we can. I think we can. Now, if I wanted to straighten that out just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and open up that transform panel again, and I'm going to click on those stones in this row. Okay. And I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to equally space them vertically, but I'm also going to kind of space them a little bit horizontally. That's going to even up my line here just a little bit, making it more in line. And I'm going to do the same thing with these right here. I'm going to equal space them, and they already were, well, not quite. Okay, so then we distributed them that way. Okay, so we did that. Let's see, what do we got over here? What do we got going on over here? Okay, so in this part of the design, this fit the other one a little bit better. So we're just going to come in here and we're just going to make some more manual adjustments, okay? This is still better than recreating and shifting all of the dots like I had to do the first time. So this is still less time consuming than it would have been if I had gone with creating the offset and then fixing the stones, because I only have to fix the ones in the area that I'm working in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to close up this gap a little bit. So I'm going to just select that row of stones right there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring them down. Okay, so I brought those down. Can we get, I think we can get another stone right there, which then kind of lets me put that stone kind of right there. And if I wanted to kind of just line, these are a little off. So let's just see what happens if I equally space them vertically. Okay, and then do the same thing with the row above it. Okay. Okay, so that just kind of evened that out a little bit. I brought those stones here down. Let's see what else we got going on over here. Now, what is this? Now, this is interesting. This little hole is not the right size. This hole is the wrong size. So I definitely will need to check that in my other design and make sure that it is the right size. But anyway, it was the wrong size. I could tell because when I looked at it, it was definitely different than the one next to it. But I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of get this stones right here and I'm going to bring them down a little bit, but I'm also going to straighten them out. Okay, so I'm just going to grab that row, that top row, and I'm going to go ahead and before I do that, I can add a stone here. And I'm going to bring that stone about right where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that row. I'm going to equal space. Oh, I must have missed something. Okay, let's do it again. I see what happened. I actually have stones that I don't want selected. So let me go ahead and unhighlight those. Oh, Lord. Okay, now that I have those, I can equal space and I can go ahead and align those. I go ahead and move them up a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add that stone. Oh, not that one. Put that one in there like that. And do the same thing and go ahead and align those stones. I'm just clicking on them all individually. Equal spacing. I must have missed one. I did. I see it. Let's try that again. Let's equal space and let's align. Okay. I think we can add one here. And I'm going to bring this down and just kind of add in there like that. Okay. Let's go over here, see what we got going on. So we're just gonna kind of I could tend to move these, but if I do, then I have to move these. And so I'm going to just sacrifice and just leave these the way that they are. Okay, we have this. We might just go ahead and move these down just to create a little bit of space. This is okay. This will a separate layer. And because we're in a separate layer, when we cut this, we will have to worry about tearing the flock because so I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm not going to worry about this one here that is currently overlapping. When we go to line those stones up, when we go to press it, it will be just fine. Same thing here. We don't need this duplicate stone right here. Let's see. I don't think we can. We can, let's see. We might can do this and do that. And then put that stone back in there like that. Yep, we can do that. I'm just looking at these stones and okay. Let's see. This could stand to use a little bit of space. And normally I would do this and use the equal spacing tool. And I think I will. Let's see. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out a little bit. But let's go ahead and position this particular stone where we want it to be. Okay, which is probably right about there. And then let's go ahead and equal space this bottom row of blue stones. Let's make sure that that's all I have selected. I see this one over here on the end, so I'm going to hold my shift key and deselect that one and then select the ones that I want to be part of that and equal space. Okay. Much better. All right. Let's see. Down here, can we actually, let's see, can we fit a row of stone right here? Let's see. Can we do that? Maybe we can. Never can have too many rhinestones. I'm going to shift that over here like that. I'll give me a little bit more space. And I'm going to shift and select this row of stones and equal space. Okay. And this just bothers me. So I'm going to see if I can fill that in. And we can. All right. Okay, let's zoom out. And there we have it. Let's see, we're gonna get rid of this stone right here that we didn't need. And we probably can now fit, let's see if we can try to fit a row of stones right in here underneath this 3 just to fill out that bottom portion. So let's come in here and I'm just gonna go to the row above it and I'm gonna go ahead and highlight those stones and duplicate and drag it out and put those there we go. Looking over here, see, I think we already looked at that, but oh, I think I deleted it. I did. Okay. We have this, and if we can just kind of move these stones if we just kind of want to kind of make this little area right in here just a little bit more circular. I don't know. Let's see if we add a stone. We add a stone. What that does? I don't think that that helps anything, so I'm going to take that out. But what I will do is I will shift this down a little bit so that these stones are in alignment with these stones. And that made that look that much better. Okay. All right, let's go out. All right. Good people, we are done. We are done. We are done. Let's just look at one other little thing. Let's see. See what I can do about, see if we can do anything about that little bit of space left right in here. So I'm going to shift this stone over. Shift that over. Add a stone. This is offline a little bit. Bring that up. Bring that up. Bring that down. And then I'm going to shift this over just a little bit. That's going to create just a little bit more space. And I am going to equal space the entire row. And equal space. And equal space. And these, I'm just going to bring down just a little bit. This one I got to bring up a little bit. And then I got to bring this in, and this in, and this in. Okay. All right. See, let's just give it a one more look over. If zoom out. Put my it's a thing back where I want it to go. And for this one, I think I might release these rhinestones for a minute. So I'm going to release the compound path and ungroup. So now I can work with these stones, and I want to just bring this up a little bit. So I'm going to bring that. I'm going to highlight all of those. And I just want to bring this up a little bit so that the spacing is about the same as it is right there. And there we have it. It's now a 3-3-6 thing. So we want to group all of this together. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go over here to my panels, this top toolbar. I'm going to click on panels. Okay. And I'm going to click select, excuse me, I'm going to click select by color. Okay. Because I want to group all of the different colors together to create my layers for when I get ready to cut the template. So I'm going to select by color. We're going to select the by fill. Okay. And we should have our colors here. Okay. So we have our blue, our white, and our red. Okay. And you want to make sure when you do this that you have everything that you want to select by color on the mat. Okay. Because we don't necessarily want to select the things that are outside of the mat. So your option should always include only shapes on media. So always make sure that that box is selected so that you only select the shapes that are on the media when you select by color. Okay. The reason you see the yellow is because we have that offset here that we created. We colored it yellow. It sees that color, but we don't want it. If it were on the mat and we had something else that was also that color, it would select it, but it's off here to the side. It's not on the media. And so it will not get selected, but we're not going to be selecting it anyway, because we don't have anything that we're trying to group together that is that color. But in any event, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the blue. Okay. So I'm going to click on the blue. All right. So it selected all of the map. Okay. Everything has a box around it. I'm going to right click. And I'm going to click group. And after I do that, I then want to right click again, and I want to make it a compound path. And the reason you want to make it a compound path is because if you happen to use Design Space and cut with a Cricut cutting machine, when you bring this design over into Design Space, you want to make sure that Design Space sees this as all one piece. That way, when you click make it and it sends it to the mat, it keeps all of the dots in the shape that they're supposed to be in. Otherwise, what will happen is that you'll click make it and all of the dots will line up in a row on the mat, and then you'll have to make some other manual edits in Design Space in order to fix that. But if you do it here in Silhouette, and you do it properly, you won't have that problem when you import it over into Design Space. So I'm going to click it and make it a compound path. And when I do that, it may or may not default it back to no color with just the red outline. Okay. If it does, and you just like the visual, you can go back to your color palette tool, right? Which is the fill panel here, the second icon from the top. You can click on it and just select that color again. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to now go ahead and group all of the white. So we're going to go back to panels, select by color. We're already on the fill tab. We're going to click the white, click group, and then click make compound path. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn those back white. And then I'm going to do this again. I'm going to select by color. I'm going to click on the red, right click, okay, group, and make compound path. And turn it back to red. Okay. Now again, the outline color is showing, and it's just an aesthetic thing for me. I don't like it. So I'm just going to drag a box around everything. Everything is now selected. I'm going to click my line style panel. I'm going to click the line color option, and I'm going to turn off the outline. And there you have it. We have recreated our design from it's a 919 thing to it's a 336 thing. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you've learned something from it. If you have questions, please ask. I try to go back and answer all of those questions. I hope you will like this video. And more importantly, I hope you will subscribe. Be sure to turn on your notifications so that anytime I upload a new tutorial, you'll know when something new has been added. Again, this is Tanya with All Things Dazzle. See you in the next one.